Up next on today's episode of the Sonic Alchemy podcast.
When I say favorite singers, I literally mean favorite singers. So I don't mean, who would you rank as like the most talented or the most technically proficient or the most influential or, anything like that. But literally, like, if no one's around and you're listening to music, who do you go to? Whose voice do you resonate with the most? That may be in the lyrics or just in the way that their voice comes across, right? Like it makes you feel empowered or excited or whatever that might be. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Sonic Alchemy podcast. What's good, Kev? How you doing?
I am doing very, very well. Feeling good. Feeling good on a Wednesday.
Getting your Randy Marsh on?
Getting my Randy Marsh on? Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been good.
Man.
Good week. Listening to some... I've started getting back. We talked about this a few podcasts ago, but getting back into doing my best to kind of go on a quest to search for new stuff or, different music, different things that are coming out. I know I sent you the new Rob Zombie, The Great Satan.
Yeah, I listened to it.
That's the simplest title I think he's done in his, maybe Hillbilly Deluxe.
Isn't it Hellbilly?
Oh, Hellbilly, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I think maybe Deluxe. It is Hellboy. I know, just like. I listened to that, and there's this another band that's out. I think this is their second album called. The band's called Nothing, and they're very much like a shoegaze band in the vein of like my Bloody Valentine, which I've talked about a little bit. Super cool record. I know I sent you a new Failure song since we talked about them, of course, a couple podcasts ago, which also sounded really dope to me. So I've been kind of just going through every Friday when stuff comes out and kind of scouring to listen to things that are obviously recommended to me, but then I go a little bit deeper and just say, oh, what's this? Let me see. And trying to dig in a little bit and see what else is out there and see if anything kind of, sparks some interest in me as well. I sent you the Social Distortion song, I think, the other day, which is cool because I've not heard from them in a long time.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, it's got a little Oasis-y vibe, which I agree. It does feel a little bit like Bring It On Down or something like that, like early Oasis first record. Yeah. But for them, which is so strange to me because I'm like I told you, they're kind of like a SoCal punk rockabilly type vibe in the 90s, when I kind of learned about them.
Yeah.
So it felt a little bit different for me, but also similar. So it was kind of a refreshing thing to hear. It was a good song.
Yeah, it was a cool song. I don't really, I mean, I know of that band by reputation, but I don't, know their catalog very well. So I couldn't speak to how that song fits in, but I thought the song was cool.
Yeah.
My wife liked it. She heard it playing in the other room. She's like, oh, that's a cool song. So
he's got a nice little gravelly voice. Mike Ness, I think it is. Good, cool, gravelly voice. Like he's certainly had a good number of packs of smokes and alcohol in his day.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
What did you think about the Zombie album? Did you make it through the whole way?
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes by pretty quick. It looks like the track listing is super long.
Right.
So it looks like it's gonna take a long time to get through it, but it's like 40 minutes or something. So it's pretty typical length. Yeah, I mean, it sounded exciting to me. It sounds heavy. It's got a lot of energy, which I enjoyed. It felt very, you said this, and so I'm not breaking any new ground, but it sounds like a return to form for him. I don't know how fair that is. I mean, the thing that he does is always kind of he has a thing, but
for sure.
It did sound like it had some renewed sort of excitement behind it. And, in classic Rob Zombie fashion, the lyrical themes and song titles and stuff are really fun. again, my
Always.
wife was listening to it while I, like eavesdropping
Right.
on me listening to it.
Right.
And she's like, wait, is he singing about tarantulas now?
Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah. And he was singing about, like, let me look at it again and see what the songs were, because I don't remember offhand. But it was like from song to song, the themes vary quite a bit and in a fun way. And I mean, it's all like Tarantula, Rock and Roller, Heathen Days, Punks and Demons, Devilman,
Black Scorpion.
Black
I think
Scorpion was cool.
That's a really cool song. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's heavy, it's dark. It was a cool record, and there have been some songs and things here and there that he's done over the last, I don't know, however many years, that I thought were pretty cool, but nothing that was like, I don't know, like really gripped me that much. But this was a really good record, I thought.
Yeah, me too. And I was saying this before because we talked about the Maryland record, the First Assassination Under God, Part 1. So I'm assuming, of course, we're gonna have a new music from them and him, I would imagine, this year, because he and Rob are going on another tour together. So, which makes sense. And they're also on, which I was getting to, Nuclear Blast. So they're both on that label now. And they seem to be, I don't know if it's the label and sort of the aesthetic of the label being really heavy, but both these albums, the Maryland record was heavy and really good and super raw. And it felt, again, I always get weird about saying return to form because I respect that people go in different avenues and try different things, but that was the closest to like an Antichrist Superstar era Marilyn Manson that I've heard from him in a while. And I have listened to all of those records. So it was really exciting for me to hear it. And Rob's it's
probably
similarly
hard over the course of decades to stay that angry.
I would think the same. And when you're, you're going through your own battles and stuff like that. But I think emerging out of the wake of a lot of drama in his personal life and also getting clean, I think I don't know. I'm always excited when I feel like people have something new to say. And
no shortage of things going on in the world to address too. It seems like over the last few years, politics and global events are ripe for discourse amongst musicians and artists. And that could take on any number of forms. That, again, for both those records to me, and again, the label that they're on, it just seems like there's an encouragement to go, we're good. Like, you guys bring us whatever heavy thing you want to bring. And it allowed them to not maybe think about, I don't know, the things that sometimes I imagine bands that are already successful have to go through. Like, is there a single? Is there all that? They just go, I don't care. It's a push for commercialism on some level. Right. Or at least having to argue with the people who write the checks, It's like, even if you're standing your ground, you still got to fight against it. Right. Yeah, I mean, Nuclear Blast has a long history of being way heavier than even those records. So I'm sure that is super commercial, having big names that, will draw a lot of interest just based off of who they are.
Yeah, I saw the thing that Rob posted on his Instagram that he got a nice little Times Square, like a little ad on one of the buildings there, the big video, screens that show up. And it's like they had an ad for his record on there. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then again, it reminded me, like, this isn't somewhat of a strong indie label, if you will. I mean, it's not like a massive major record label, but it's certainly, like you said, is steeped in a long history of pretty heavy records. So I was like, oh, good for them. Like, they're getting a good come up with these artists that are a little bit bigger, that have a bigger fan base, and it pulls people towards what else have they put out, and you find some really good music on there too. So big shout out for those guys. They're doing something right for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's switch gears here. I've got a topic for today, And, I thought it would be interesting for you and I to dig into our favorite singers. One, just, because I think it'll be interesting to hear your perspective and my perspective, and certainly to probably piss off all the listeners that their favorite singer is not on this list. So we can stir the pot a little bit. But I was thinking about this, and you and I came up in slightly different time frames. Like our formative years hit different kind of eras of music a little bit. And so I'm sure that that's going to have an influence on who we pick. But I was curious to dig into that a little bit. And when I say favorite singers, I literally mean favorite singers. So I don't mean, who would you rank as like the most talented or the most technically proficient or the most influential culturally or, anything like that. But literally, like, if no one's around and you're listening to music, who do you go to? Whose voice do you resonate with the most? I kind of think about it almost like certain artists feel like an extension of my own voice, not in that I sound like them, but I mean it more in like a spiritual sense, almost like they are the voice for the things that your soul wants to say, and that may be in the lyrics or just in the way that their voice comes across, right? Like it makes you feel empowered or excited or, whatever that might be. So I know I gave you a little bit of a heads up just so you could sort of think about it and compile a list. My list is very of the moment and subject to change by the next time we talk about this, but we both prepared a top 10.
Yep.
And I haven't seen your list. You haven't seen mine. I'm guessing we probably have at least one artist that probably has, or one singer that's probably made it on both of our lists, just knowing you.
Yep.
And I have some guesses as to what's on your list, but I'll save that for you to reveal. And so if you're good, maybe you want to kick off with your first one. I don't have mine in any particular order. It sounds like you actually have a true force rank top 10. I'll try to sort of do that, but I don't really have them listed that way. So mine is kind of a no particular order. But
it was tough for me to do that. And I say this too, like, when we first talked about it, I did go stream of consciousness. So I had a list of probably 30 plus.
Yeah.
And it just had me question, like, but I do love God. I do, so you go through all these different emotions of like, who's going to make the cut? Who's going to make the cut? And again, I think of this like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, in the end, it's a bit of a joke. Like, it's just what I'm feeling today, and it's very subjective. And
but it is, I also think, telling of
it's
how
very
you,
much telling.
Of how you engage with music and what it is that you're drawn to. And I think that ends up showing itself in the art that we make and the way that we think about a lot of the stuff that we discuss on here.
Agreed.
Also, I found, I mean, I don't know if you found this to be the case, but I found myself kind of arguing with myself about certain artists, because I'm like, well, but do I really love them as a singer, or is there something else about them that really attracts me to them? Is it the fact that I love the band so much, or the songs? Like someone who didn't make it on my list, who I wanted to put on my list, was Tom Petty, which is funny because I grew up not liking Tom Petty's voice at all.
Right.
And so that was part of my inner dialogue, is going like, well, is it really that you love him as a singer? Or do you more love him as a songwriter and as a personality, and then you grew to love his voice over time because of what it ended up representing to you? But, would you really say he's one of your favorite singers? And that's where I had to go, well, maybe not in the strictest sense. So there was some hair splitting probably.
For sure on that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. He did not make my list either. And I was heartbroken. Pun intended. On that. But it was because his songwriting is just impeccable, and I think that's really what drives it. Obviously in the band, I'm not going to not count in, Stan and Bentmont and Mike, of course, in those as really great songwriters and partners for him along, his time. But as a singer, no, I'm like, yes, it's catchy, but it's in the songs, and it's just the great craftsmanship of the song. So anyway, with that, shall I kick us off? I'm going to start with the left
go
turn.
for it.
So, all right. So number 10, Carl Hyde. He is the singer of the electronic band Underworld. So this is an interesting, again, you know me very well. So you know that, again, as much as I am a rock and roll kid, I'm also very much equally steeped in electronic music, and it has always represented or informed a good chunk of my life, particularly my formative years when I did DJ, and I was really into that for a long time. I still very much am, but I will tell you that band, and particularly the way Carl sort of approaches music, it is stream of consciousness. It's very poetic. I wrote down, I said it's an instrument of atmosphere. And it is very much like it sort of serves what the aesthetic of the songs are going to be. And he has a very interesting way of punctuating certain words, rhythmic sort of timing to go along with his music. And to be a singer in an electronic band, when you know that sort of the music itself is sort of the main thing, I find it to be very striking and very recognizable for those people who know. And again, this band's been around for 30-something years now. And it's just two guys. It was three at one time, but it just came down to just to him and his partner. And again, how he approaches and what they do is so unique. And I just find that anytime I'm ever in my car or I'm listening to music and something pops up with one of their songs, it immediately makes me go and want to listen to the entire album and go on a long streak of listening to that and, kind of sing along or rhyme along with what he's doing. And it puts me in such the best mood. And I think that's the thing that I always look for with something is like, granted, I may not be able to pull off what he's doing or that way, but it certainly evokes an emotion of happiness and just pure joy in listening to them, and particularly how he approaches their songs. So that's one. If anyone doesn't know them, do yourself a favor. If you like electronic music, they are sort of to me, one of the titans in that space. And Carl is remarkable. So that's my rounding out my top 10.
Wow. Well, that is an unexpected choice. I would not have called that. And that's interesting, like just choosing a singer that is maybe uses their voice more as an instrument. That's strange to say because every singer is using their voice as an instrument, but you know what I mean? Like leaning more into that idea than perhaps like a traditional, vocal styling.
Yeah, like the Sigur Rós, Bjork. I think those are other people that kind of do similar things, although Bjork is an incredible singer, but also uses her voice as well as an instrument to kind of inform some of the music stuff. And interesting, both those bands I just mentioned come from Iceland, so interesting to think about that,
Well, you and I were thinking similarly because my number 10 is also, might call it a non-traditional singer. And actually a lot of people might argue with the idea of singer at all. But I am choosing Randy Blythe from Lamb of God as my number 10.
Oh, yeah.
Randy, for those who know Lamb of God, you don't need an introduction. But if you don't know Lamb of God, they are a metal band from Virginia. And he does basically almost no regular singing, some talking occasionally. He's got really great speaking voice. But he is people have lots of different words for it. Harsh vocalist, screaming vocalist, metal vocalist. Basically, he sounds like a reincarnated jaguar god. To me, is how I think of it. He has such a powerful and emotive way of screaming, and for me, I grew up a metalhead. I'm really comfortable with lots of different kinds of harsh, screaming, chaotic vocals. And there's a lot of really talented people out there. What I found is that, it's a hard style to do. And so often when people do it, they've got maybe a couple of sounds that they can generate. Nowadays there's more and more people who are gaining a lot of mastery over this style.
Yeah.
So of course, in some of the newer, more modern bands, there's a lot of exceptionally talented people out there. But what always captivated me about Randy was his ability to emote through that styling, like through a chorus or a verse or, a couple of lines. He will sound radically different word to word, line to line, like a singer would. Instead of everything being kind of a monotone shouting sort of thing, which has its place, he has this ability to take the lyrics and still really kind of storytell and weave in and out of different sounds and keep it sounding interesting, but in a really exciting, really powerful, energized way. And so he's always had a place in my heart in that world of vocals, because I'm just so jealous. I wish I could do that like he does. He makes it seem so effortless. And of course, great lyricist. He's not the only one in the band who writes lyrics, but he has a really particular perspective on things, and you got to respect it.
Yeah, again, not knowing them as well as you do, I probably started listening to more of them when you just shared songs and things like, and of course I've listened to a few of the new songs. In fact, they just had another one come out off this forthcoming album, which is another just
banger.
Whoa, banger. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was you were going to see them with Megadeth a few years ago. Yeah. And I remember at that time, I've heard of them. I've seen them on a ton of bills, particularly in a lot of festivals for hard rock and metal. And I'm like, let me give them a shot. And I'm not one that would say I lean heavy into that sort of type of singing, but I know what you mean. I can respect that it is, there's a skill to do that. And I think you and I, even when we tried to kind of dip our toes in the pool of some of that type of music, understanding how you've had to try and go and approach that, I have a lot of respect for people that can do that. We both saw Amarth, I think, open for Ghost, and that was another one where I was like, that guy's crazy. Was it Amarth? And they also had a very cool stage presence, but it was like, I've just started getting a little bit into that, because that was something where, again, I would think the heaviest metal vocalist that I would think of at that time that I dug was Tom Araya or whatever from Slayer. And that was kind of the heaviest thing for me. And then of course there's so many other, like Corey Taylor, of course, and like the Slipknot stuff and all that. So that's a bit of a sort of subgenre of metal that I hadn't listened to that I'm kind of getting into now. And I'm sure there's a dozen other ones like that, but I would agree with you. Randy is super gifted in that space, and their music is like, wow, just crazy heavy.
Yeah, I mean, to the uninitiated, he probably sounds like everybody else in that space, but to anyone who has spent time getting familiar with that style of music, he really stands alone, in my opinion, as a exceptionally talented vocalist.
Yeah.
We got at number 9.
So this will start to kick off what I found to be a bit of a theme in my list as well. And as I'm starting to learn, I think I must like crooners, and maybe not in the traditional sense of like Frank Sinatra type or, in that space. But I do find that people have a sort of unique approach to having a crooner type vocal on top of a rock song. And I think one that really comes to mind for me is Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys. This is one that I just really find to be one of a kind in that space.
Yeah.
Not only just a great vocalist, but I think how he chooses his wordplay and lyrics are very unique, and how he does this. I'll just pull up an example from Are You Mine from AM. And just the first, like, I'm a puppet on a string, Tracy Island, time traveling, diamond cutter shaped heartaches. If you hear that, you go, how are you going to put that and fit that into a song?
Yeah.
And just so clever how it lines up and how he sings that stuff. It feels in and out of the pocket in the most sexy of way. I think I've used that word before. He has sort of a very sexy swagger to him, oozes charisma in that space. So for the bands that he fronts, he's also a kind of co-sings for another band called Last Shadow Puppets as well.
Right.
And both of these bands are just super, super great. He's a really great frontman, but an incredible singer and a very unique way of approaching vocals to me that I've always loved since I've heard of Arctic Monkeys. And I kind of I listen, it's really more in that, I think I like all of the stuff. I'm a fan of the sort of those first 4 or 5 records a bit more, but I do appreciate what he does, even if the music is going in a different direction. I do really appreciate how he approaches that stuff as well. So that's one that's going to make it on my list, but also is going to maybe be an eye opener to other singers that are on my list that will kind of fall into a similar place of this sort of crooning style over a different type of music than you might think of when you hear the word crooner. So Alex Turner, that's one.
That gives me some clues as to who else might be on your list for sure.
Oh yeah. That might help you in a bit.
Yeah, Alex Turner is rad. He's got such a unique style, I think. I've always felt that way. And yeah, his ability to sing in a way that feels so loose and free is a really exceptional part of what he does. And like you, I did find myself having a hard time separating lyrics from the singer with some of these too. And so that definitely does play a role as well. You know, when there's good wordplay or lyrics that are more than what meets the eye, you know, that definitely resonates with me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a theme with my list too, and mine's a little more straightforward in just that they're all like rock singers. Basically, I was like, man, do I not like other singers? And the truth is that I do. But if I'm being honest with myself, the vocalists that I enjoy listening to the most are for sure within the rock world. I'm going to put it number 9, a guy who always gets love from me, that I feel like doesn't get nearly the recognition that he deserves in the rock and metal universe, and that is Russell Allen. Russell Allen is the singer for Symphony X. He has done a handful of other things as well. He was in a supergroup with Mike Portnoy that didn't make it too far, unfortunately. That was something. Why am I forgetting the name of that? Adrenaline Mob. That was kind of a fun project. And then also I was surprised because I didn't realize that he's kind of a long-term member of the what's the band that goes around during Christmas time and does all the like hard rock versions of Christmas stuff? Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's been a part of that. He kind of does that on his off time, I guess, as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Russell Allen is the kind of singer that is really fun for me because he comes more from a classical music training, singing background, which usually turns me off. Like when I hear vocalists that come from more of the like classical singing training, I'm thinking about like I hate to say it, and again, I'm bound to piss some people off, like a Bruce Dickinson or someone like that. I don't love that style of vocal, the kind of operatic,
yeah.
Yeah, the kind of operatic, wide vibrato thing generally doesn't work well for me. Even someone like a Jeff Tate, I respect Jeff Tate, and it's not that I don't like him at all,
right?
But it's not my exact flavor. I usually prefer singers who come from like a more straight ahead background. But Russell Allen has that kind of thing to him. He has this exceptional range, but there is a power and a grit in his voice that just really works for me, man. And that is a thing for me with pretty much all singers. When a singer can sing both with power and have a big range, but also have grit and gravel and distortion in their voice, that adds so much more character to performances. And so you want, at least for me, like I want somebody who can kind of do a little bit of everything. And so he can clean it up and be really pure and beautiful and delicate, and then also kind of tear your head off almost. And from line to line, go from something that's real gravelly and low and, kind of moody into something that's way up there and exciting and
soaring.
And I love their music anyway. I mean, they write such interesting music. It's rare for me that a band that is that progressive and that writes such complicated music for the average person. Normally those bands end up having singers that I tolerate. If I really like the band, like they're not bad, but they're not my cup of tea. They're not that approachable, really.
Right.
But he's kind of the exception to that, where he makes the music, even though it's really complex and really progressive and lots of crazy stuff going on, that you have that sort of North Star of this really great singer right in the middle of all of that. That you can follow along with, and it makes it feel much easier to digest because you have that great voice in the middle. So Russell Allen takes my number 9 spot. Unsung hero, I think.
Okay, that's a good one. And that's one that I think, now that you've talked to me a little bit about them, I do remember them coming out, and I do remember a song or two. But that's one I need to go back to and listen now. I appreciate the shout out for him, because I need to go back and kind of listen to.
Their big fans are going to go way back to their early stuff. They have a thing where their albums tend to be conceptual. And so each one will be a theme. And so there's, all kinds of really great ones. The record that got me into them was Paradise Lost. So they did a whole riff on Milton's Paradise Lost.
Yep.
In a concept album form. And that record basically doesn't have any bad songs on it. I mean, it's incredible. But they put out a couple records after that are also really good.
Cool.
And let me just shout out, I should have thought ahead on this, but I'll just shout out the other record I'm thinking of. Iconoclast is the one that came out after that that's phenomenal. But they've done all kinds of really amazing stuff. So definitely check them out if you haven't heard them.
This is going to take us, we're just going all over. So I don't even know there's a rhyme or reason to this one, but taking a big left turn here. So my number 8 right now, again, talking about a bit of crooner-esque, which is very interesting, is Iggy Pop. So,
whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. Huh. So I don't talk a lot, and I should, because I really fell in love. This is an interesting one too for me. There was a movie that came out in the 90s with Ewan McGregor in it, and I can't think of his last name. Reese. I can remember his last name. Somebody's going to probably shout it out in the thread. called Velvet Goldmine. And it was about loosely based on an Iggy Pop sort of David Bowie era type thing that was happening. And some of the songs that they did for the soundtrack were other bands and other artists that kind of came in and did sort of Stooges songs or Bowie songs or Iggy Pop type songs that were on this album. And I love the record. I certainly love the movie. Christian Bale was also in that, by the way, as well. It was one of the first times I ever got to see him. So if you haven't seen the movie, a good shout out for that. But it got me into the rabbit hole of Iggy Pop. So I dug in and I was like, okay, what is this song TVI or I Want to Be Your Dog? And so it got me into the Stooges and I'm like, whoa. So I started watching all these live sort of things of him that many people have probably seen where he's shirtless and about to take his pants down and all this. It's a date, pull his, cash and prizes out for everybody. But he was so dangerous and reckless in the most exciting way. And if you listen to Stooges, it's not like it's like, again, I don't even think Iggy Pop would think necessarily he's a great singer, but I will tell you a lot of musicians do. And there are a lot of people that really find him to be very interesting. So if you go from the Stooges, it's super punk, really raw, unpolished rock and roll with a crazy wild frontman. And then you go to his solo stuff and you get songs like Success and Passenger and some of these great tunes that he's done. And you get sort of this deep croony type vocal thing that he's really known for. He's got this beautiful, deep sort of voice. He did a song in the 90s called Candy with one of the girls from the B-52s, Kate Fearson, that was also a really great, just a great pop song. But I've always sort of loved Iggy. In the background, he's just been so informative for me for the better part of my life, or at least my formative years to now. And I think it would be remiss if I didn't give him credit, because anytime I hear one of his songs, I'm not turning it off. I'm not skipping it. It's just something that is always exciting and entertaining to me. And when he puts out new music, I'm very much interested in that. He did a record with a few, like a super band, of course, Josh, and interesting enough, the drummer from Arctic Monkeys and a few other folks were his backing band on an album called Post-Bop Depression, which is a fantastic record, top to bottom. And he's done another record a few years ago that I think had Duff McKagan and maybe Chad playing on it as well. That was also super good. I don't know if Andrew Wyatt did that record, because it seems to be has sort of musicians that play, knowing from the Ozzy one, with those guys playing on those last two Ozzy records. Anyway,
Andrew Watt, you mean?
Andrew Watt, yeah. Sorry, I said Wyatt. Yeah, Andrew Watt. Anyway, Iggy to me, deserves to be on the list for me. A wild vocalist, and definitely a crooner in there as well. So, yeah, that's one for you that if you haven't really dug into his catalog, you probably should. I think there's some really great stuff in there that you might enjoy.
I've taken a stab at the Stooges a few times and heard some of his solo stuff. I haven't got the bug yet. So like a lot of things, I've realized it's stuff that maybe doesn't resonate with me right away. There will come a time where it clicks. Yeah. So I'm open to that. And I get why, especially as a figure, he's so beloved. But I don't know him well enough, to really say one way or the other. But that's a great choice. I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see who goes next on my list. Like I said, I didn't rank mine, and so this is tough for me. Who am I feeling as of today? I'm gonna put Corey Taylor next on my list.
No, good. I was hoping that Corey would make the cut somewhere.
Yeah, Corey definitely deserves to be on this list. I got into Slipknot a little bit later in their catalog, around 2008. So, I mean, not like super late, but at this point, that's kind of like midpoint in their career almost. But, I wasn't in it from real early. And in fact, really, I got more into Corey Taylor initially through Stone Sour, which is one of his other projects. And then, of course, now here more recently, he's got his solo stuff that he's done that's really great. He continues to show that he's a guy who has tremendous range, and I don't mean vocal range as in like, notes on a piano, but like capabilities as an artist. Slipknot is so extreme, so angry, so violent, so aggressive. His vocals that he does on that, in a similar way to my shout out to Randy at number 10.
Yeah.
He may not have quite the finesse that Randy has, but his pure, unbridled, just raw delivery when he's doing those heavier kind of Slipknot vocals is really hard to not get behind. I mean, it's infectious. And, like, I know he doesn't quite do this the same way now, but like you can find videos of him recording their second record, Iowa. And I mean, it's everything that you would hope it would be. For someone who's not into that, it's, that was a really dark period. And, I think the music that they make, certainly you would expect it to come from a place of people who have gone through some stuff. And that was definitely the case during that period. But, and he's learned how to tap into that now in a more healthy way, I think. But that is really amazing. And then Stone Sour being more of a hard rock band, he's not really screaming as much. Certainly in the, past their first album.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something about that band was always really cool to me. And, he had put out a couple of songs. I really resonated when I first got into his music with some of the more ballad type things that he would write. He would write these really dark, kind of beautiful things that showcased a part of his voice that really, to me, doesn't sound like anybody else. A song like Bother. I know, like, Through the Glass was a really big song. I think that was on like Spider-Man or something back in the day.
Yeah.
And so some of those songs are just really special because they're so simple and so stripped down, and it puts his voice front and center in a way that you don't often hear from artists like that, especially if you're thinking about him as the Slipknot guy. And even Slipknot has some songs like that are like Snuff is another one that's a really beautiful, dark, strange song that's really cool. And then, hearing what he's done with his solo stuff, he seems to be having a lot of fun and, doing some things that, or hearing him on stage with someone like Steel Panther and, doing some things that he wouldn't normally do in his traditional bands, but shows off his capability as a singer. And he's one that, as a lyricist, that definitely that played a factor for me in putting him on my list. Is that the lyrics that he writes are really amazing, I think. And both his dark lyrics and his not as dark lyrics. It's I always love seeing what he's up to when he puts out something new. And he's someone who, especially like in my formative years, was a really impactful singer. I think on my style, not that I sound like him, but I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how he does some of the things that he does and how I could maybe put some of those tools in my belt, so to speak.
Yeah. I found Corey Taylor by accident on a YouTube video doing Van Halen tunes with Michael Anthony and John 5.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the heck is this guy? And I looked him up because I kind of knew that name, but it didn't put two and two together. And I was like, wait, this is a dude with the mask from Slipknot? And so I was like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
I probably missed the mark on Slipknot. So again, like anybody, I go and listen to Iowa, and I'm like, okay. Now it starts to crystallize for me. And then I'm like, wait, he also sang in Stone Sour. So as
Mhm.
I'm, perusing through Slipknot stuff, I realized, oh yeah, he's a front person for Stone Sour as well. I definitely knew a few of their songs from back in the day. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy has pipes and he can do all of that kind of thing. Very
Yeah.
aggressive, but also really tempered, great control of his voice. And even in the Slipknot stuff, he can go into that sort of, I dare I say clean, but sort of a clean
No, yeah, he's got plenty of
tone.
clean singing
Yeah.
in Slipknot.
Yeah.
There's
And
a
it was
timbre
just
to his
impressive to me.
voice, a quality to the way that his voice sounds. I know there's a lot of neck jokes that have been made over the years because Corey's got a powerful neck, so it's like he's got some powerful chords in there. But he's instantly recognizable to me in a
Yeah.
way that not all singers are.
Yeah.
And I've never really even heard anyone who sounds a lot like him. It's like occasionally with some other singers, I'll hear someone that surprises me, like, oh, they sound a lot like this other singer. Like, that's fascinating. I don't really hear anyone doing that. Maybe his scream, but like his clean singing is so unique. I love that about his voice. It's
Me too.
one of a kind.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can start to get a good theme from you on some of the singers that you're picking, but it's like they are powerful and they can live both in the metal space, but also in the rock space as well with equal measure.
Yeah.
And I think that's really impressive for, I'm a fan of Corey for sure. All of those projects to me, but I didn't come to know about him. Even with you, I probably asked some questions after I was like, oh, do you guys like Slipknot? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, this is a band that I missed.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to that when they were sort of hitting their thing. But yeah,
phenomenal show, by the way. If you want to have your mind blown, go see Slipknot live.
It seems like they would be very fun for me, given some of my earlier roots in metal and stuff as well. I would probably dig that for sure. Again, we're going to go another left turn from Corey Taylor to one that, and this is no slight whatsoever, because I do have a lot of female singers that I truly love. And there's plenty on there. If we did another podcast about this, there's plenty in honorable mention. But I picked one that I've resonated with for a little bit. And it's funny to me because I feel like I've discovered them. Even this is stupid, but as a fan, I've been able to watch them from the very, 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 very early beginning up into them being somewhat of a bit of a superstar now, and that's Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. So,
okay.
Yeah. So getting to see them before they were really signed in Los Angeles, right before they had just done, I guess they were signed. They had just done their EP, and getting to see her on stage. And again, in a very similar, like, you can kind of get the feeling from where she probably draws some energy from, if I'm imagining this. Again, a little bit of Iggy Pop and sort of the recklessness on stage. Like, she's very provocative. Let's just say that. So if you're pulling from like a Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees, or from X-Ray Specs, some of these really female fronted, Riot Girl, Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth, I think Karen O has a bit of all of that wrapped into her, but she's an incredibly good singer. She has a phenomenal voice. All of the stuff that she did with the Yes, and then also this solo record that she did a few years back with Danger Mouse. Every time I hear it, it draws me in. There's something so captivating about how she sings, and having seen her live a dozen times, it's magical. There's this thing where you can just feel her connection, that sort of connection to the audience. And she's quirky and, like I said, provocative. there was a lot of sort of recklessness early into their career, because they are a bit of a sort of I don't even know what you'd call it, like sort of an art house punk band, that you just didn't know what to expect when you get them on stage. They were great and tight and really, really good, but she would be all over the stage, jumping off of stuff, swallowing the microphone. Like I said, provocative is probably the best, safest way to put that on the podcast. But I was super drawn in. The magnetism of what she does was really impressive to me. And when I hear them again, it's just this thing, like, it evokes this sense of joy and this beauty to me that is pretty special. And I've kept up with them a lot. Lisa and I both are really big fans of the AAS. So, and I just heard her. It was a song, one off with their collaboration with Danger Mouse. Just the other day in the car, it was like on one of the satellite radio stations, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't listened to her in a minute. And again, it just opened the floodgate, and I went back, and I'm like, oh, I miss her, So another one that might not have sounded obvious, but it also, knowing me, it kind of points to a lineage of other female artists that I really have admired that sort of wrap up into one great bow. With Karen O being in that space as well. So that's another one that might get some interesting comments from us. But yeah, I'm a huge fan.
I love how different our lists are. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This will be a bit more predictable after this next one. It'll start to kind of crystallize a bit more. But those first sort of the 10 through 6 are pretty interesting to me. And I have good stories for all of it. But anyway, yeah.
So I guess that my next one, let me see. Is my list actually 10? Let me see. This looks wrong. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it is. I accidentally deleted one. I don't know where it went. All right. My next one is you're gonna be proud of this one.
Oh.
And I will almost think that perhaps this one might be on your list.
Okay.
Scott Weiland.
Okay. Cool.
Did Scott make your list? No?
He did not. Wow,
okay. All right.
But
that doesn't totally surprise me. I didn't think he was a shoo-in, but I thought he very well could be on there.
I'll tell you this, and this is a tough one, but as we get to the top of my list, he was in a tie with another one, and I just had to feel like I needed to put this one there for a bit of a different reason. And it isn't to say that I don't, and you know this very much. I have a massive amount of love for Scott and all of the music he did. And I think if you asked me to write a different list tomorrow, he would be on it for sure. But when I was doing this one, I was really being thoughtful about, would I have put him there? And yeah, it was a tough one for me just barely missed. And there's a few on there that I'm like, I'm heartbroken that I didn't. But narrowing it down to 10, I was like, okay.
It's hard. It's hard to choose for sure. Yeah, Scott Weiland.
But I'm proud that you put it on your list. That makes me feel good now. At least he makes it up there because he deserves to be on somebody's list.
He made the episode. Scott Weiland. Again, the theme. I notice. I'm like, this list is less like my favorite singers. I mean, it is my favorite singers, but it's like it's almost less that, and it's more about like my most influential singers or something like that. Scott is another one who, on the surface, you think you know what you're getting. You're getting a passionate rock vocalist, and then the more you listen to the catalog of STP. Or even some of the other things that he's done, you start to realize that there's so much more than meets the eye with him. that I just love. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there is a croonery element to what he does. You know, to
Very much so.
take off of your description.
Yeah.
But there's also there's just so much that he does well. You know, I got into him through some of the heavier stuff. You know, usually that is what grips me. So he's got this great sort of texture and rasp and distortion in his voice when he wants it. But then he's got these other like really clean moments that sound very 90s. And then so many other influences, like, you know, I hear the Doors and some of their stuff that they've done, and there's just so many textures and interesting places that he can go even within the same song that really keeps his performances so interesting and so unique. And then of course you think of him as a live performer. I mean, there's so many great videos of him, you know, with his megaphone and, you know, all that crazy stuff that they would do.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a real shame, you know, we've talked about him on the podcast before. You know, it's a shame, you know, his struggles and, you know, losing him as early as we did. I was also a really big fan, I'm sure, you know, again, my opinions are probably pissing a lot of purists off, because I really loved Velvet Revolver also. And I know that was a pretty polarizing group because obviously it's, you know, GNR minus Axl. I've always felt like Scott Weiland was a way better singer than Axl, personally. I think Axl he's an amazing artist. Like, I put him up in the upper echelons as an artist and as a figure and as his influence in pop culture and all of that. There's very few people beating him when you add all those things together. But purely as a singer, I feel like Scott is a much better singer. I like his voice way more than Axl's.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to be able to hear GNR in the context of doing something a little more modern at the time, with a really phenomenal singer. And, you know, they weren't STP, which pissed people off. They weren't GNR, but they were great for what they were. And I wasn't so steeped in the history of either of those bands at that time to where I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And so I really loved that project. And I think those records are super cool. I still want us to cover Fall to Pieces at some point, because I think it's just such a great song.
It's a great song.
But
super good.
Yeah, Scott is up there in my top for sure.
That's amazing, and I'm so proud of you for putting him there. I feel a little responsible for that, so I'll take a little bit of credit there, but
probably partially. Yeah,
I can't argue that, and I'm really sad that it didn't get there for me. But it was. I do think in the sense of Stone Temple Pilots, because you have the DeLeo brothers and Eric Kretz that are just great musicians, and they write all over the place with their styles, and there's so many things that they pull from in their music. It was just lightning in a bottle for the whole band to me. So to have Scott, it's just a perfect recipe for them. You can obviously get a singer to replicate that, and this is not a slight to Jeff Gutt, that's their current singer at all. But Jeff
also
sounds
great.
A lot. Yeah, he's a great singer. It sounds like Scott, and I get the aesthetic of needing to do that sort of thing. But bless you.
Thank you.
Scott's one of a kind, period. It's just full stop. And there's so many influences across his spectrum of influence that he pulled from into the songs that he wrote. We had him too short, you know. And
agreed.
Like I said, if you asked me tomorrow, he would be on the top of the list. So it's interesting that I didn't make it there. But again, I keep jumping all over the place. This next one is this next one's good, but it'll also date me a little bit, but also just remarkable. And I don't often talk about sort of my 80s alternative music, if you will, for whatever but I'm a kid of the 80s as well. And I really got into a lot of bands around this time, like Psychedelic Furs, I was into them. I was into Culture Club. I was into Depeche Mode, and I love all those singers, by the way. But one that's kind of stuck with me is Ian McCullough from Echo and the Bunnymen. And this is one that, again, is a crooner. Very, very good singer. Really great, like sort of baritone style of singing. Just in a way, like if you think of Alex Turner and maybe where he kind of borrows from, Bowie, Bono, they all owe a little bit into that space because he's kind of around in that same time. And Ian is just a remarkable singer. Again, this band, if you're not familiar with Echo and the Bunnymen, of course, they're very much like an 80s alternative, if you want to classify them in that space. Tremendous musicianship across the band. But that's another one. Anytime I hear him, I'm just immediately transported and just feel like a kid being able to discover them again for the first time. Cool name for a band anyway, but again, if you're going back and listening to Bring On the Dancing Horses or The Cutter, just they're so cool. And there's this crooner-esque thing about him and how he sings, and also great sort of vibrato in his voice that just gives so much color to the band. In a similar way to Scott, in a way too, where it's just like you got a great band with awesome musicians around you, and they pull from so many different styles. And then you have this amazing singer that kind of fits in the center of that can kind of crystallize and bring it all together and becomes this very unique thing. I think of that with Arctic Monkeys. Yeah. And I certainly think of that with Ian as well. And this will also get into another band that I know may or may not make your list as well. But again, as we get sort of to the top of the list, it starts to make a little bit more sense because I do think some of the other folks that I put in here sometimes can pull from that one, especially the next one that I'm going to mention. But yeah, Ian's another one, a bit of a left turn, I'm sure, for you, because I don't talk about a lot of these bands. So maybe there's a good episode around the corner about talking some of these other bands that I've really loved and enjoy that we don't often get to talk about because we lean a little bit heavier into the rock space, but they are kind of a rock band. But very cool. Very, very good. You should check them out.
Yeah. And it is so interesting to me. I had a feeling it was going to be like this, where you and I, for as much as we have in common taste-wise, and as much as we agree on things, we have such radically different perspectives that we come from with how, with our taste, So it's fascinating to hear this.
Yeah, he also wears sunglasses like no one else, and it was the reason that I probably wanted to buy some Ray-Bans, some Wayfarers, because he looks so cool. And he had this really nice black mullet back in the day, and the dark shades, and it's kind of like this long sort of trench coat kind of look that was very 80s, late 80s, if you will. So his style was also something that really pulled me into the band too, just because he just looked as cool as shit, So,
anyway, out of the Matrix or something.
Yeah, just super rad. Yeah, super rad.
My next one will require basically no explanation, because everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, okay, got it." James Hetfield. James Hetfield could have been on pretty much any number on this list.
Yeah.
I would say, compared to most of the other singers on my list, he is the most one-trick pony, probably, of all of them. And I don't mean that as a slight. I mean, the thing that he does so well.
Yes.
And his voice is like a permanent part of my psyche at this point. The amount of Metallica that I've listened to in my life. Especially early Metallica, and I don't mean earliest Metallica, but like Ride the Lightning, man, there's something about that howl mixed with that reverb at that era that I just can't get over. I'm always gushing about Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
And of course, he's done so much. Yeah, I mean, and it's not most Metallica fans' favorite record. I feel like most people are going to say Master of Puppets or
Black Album,
something like that. Black Album, maybe, like, I know yours is, I almost thought I was wearing the shirt right now, but,
And Justice for All.
Yeah, and Justice.
I like that record.
And of course, the hipsters are going to say kill them all. But he is incredibly influential across the genre.
Yes.
His lyrics are phenomenal. What he stands for and what he's done for music is untouchable.
Yep.
James gets a lot of credit. He gets a lot of credit as a singer and as a guitar player, and he should get all of that credit. So I'm not surprising anybody or having to convince anybody on this one. James is phenomenal, and I absolutely love virtually everything that they've done. Even their songs that I don't really like and the records that I think are kind of weak, I still love his voice on them.
Yeah.
So it's like the one redeeming thing through some of the eras of Metallica that I don't vibe with. I can always be like, well, at least they got James.
I think they pushed, I think Bob, as much as I have openly shared my frustration about Bob Rock with Metallica.
Yeah.
It's aging well with me in that space, but I do think Bob really helped James kind of discover how to be a singer. Like not just in the sense, and I mean that like you hear songs like Unforgiven and things that are a bit more like he's trying to really explore how to work on his clean sort of vocal and that sort of thing, which shows up. You don't hear that necessarily. You might a little bit in like Sanitarium or things like that. You hear a little bit of that kind of stuff. Fade to Black. But he starts to get stronger and better and more confident, I think, in that space as well. And of course, doing that while you're kind of wrestling with your demons and trying to find out how you come out on the other side of that, I think is very impressive to me. So no argument for me on that. He absolutely deserves to be on a list for sure. This is great.
Yeah. If Randy Blythe is a jaguar, then James Hetfield is the werewolf. To me.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Although I do miss James's really beautiful mullet. Like I think he had such a great mullet hair. Somebody should bring that back.
Totally
and have the cojones to do that,
Yeah.
in this day and age.
Of course, it's not blonde anymore like it used to be.
No, it's a bit gray there.
Pretty gray, yeah.
Pretty gray, but that's okay too. No, he's still, I mean, again, I saw him last year. You saw him a couple years before that. Still sounds great. Just crushing it. You're just doing a great job. So very, very happy with that. Okay. This one is not going to come as a surprise to you. It should not come as a surprise. And I'm glad he made the list. This is Josh Homme. So
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Josh is absolutely making the list for me.
Yeah.
100%.
He's one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
He could have made my list. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh is a crooner. You clearly are going to hear David Bowie. You're clearly going to hear, I could even say Ian as well. He comes from that era. And what's so interesting to me is like, and just most recently, of course, doing those duets with Norah Jones.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like he continues to find new places, but his vocal is unmistakable. And if you even go back to listen to, Caius, even the songs where he was still splitting the vocals in Queens of the Stone Age early on, it's just so good. And of course, it suits the band.
Yeah.
But he's also one of the biggest songwriters for the band. So it's not like it's surprising to me at all how it sets over that. But there's such I don't know, the music for In Queens can be so heavy and really precise also. But then you have his sort of playfulness and whimsicalness across the top of it, which just, again, is so really cool in a band. He has a beautiful falsetto that I think is very signature to what he does across all of the different projects like them, Crooked Vultures and Caius and those different things, that he's explored. But you hear a band like that and you go like Songs for the Deaf and then, The Art of Keeping a Secret is such a fun little whimsical type song that you wouldn't even think is kind of heavy. And it just sneaks up on you. And that's sort of the magic to me of him.
And his lyrics too.
Yeah, oh my God, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Again, like
Yeah.
Alex Turner, who he also, by the way, produced I think a couple of records with them.
Mm.
Kind of has that sort of same thing. He's just super sexy as a frontman. The way he delivers his lyrics and his writing is pretty amazing. His lyrics are super awesome. Very clever wordplay. That always draws me in with him as well. So yeah, high
He's cheeky,
list for me.
playful,
Yeah.
quirky, and I don't mean that in like the Zooey Deschanel kind of way. I mean, there's just like there's quirks to what he does. It's unexpected. It's out of pocket a little bit. It's yeah.
And when you have a band
It's
that
fun.
is so rhythmic and really exciting to see, particularly live, it's amazing to hear those kind of vocals on top of that. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you had just described to me on paper that band, I would have thought it doesn't make sense that his vocal would be in that band.
Yeah.
You know?
You'd say like, imagine David Bowie, but singing for a stoner rock band, but also has elements of other things. You know, it's really hard to kind of classify what they are to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put it together in that way, but thank God it wasn't up to me because it turns out to be amazing. You know, what they do is really unique and really special. And they're another band that's so good live. Like for anyone out there who's trying to decide, should I go see Queens live? Please go.
Yes.
You will not regret it.
Absolutely. On tour again with the Foo Fighters this year, doing a bunch of festivals again. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be another good one. I'm hoping that we get some new music from him as well. But yeah, massive fan of his for sure.
So we're moving into top 5 now. This is where things really zero in on my biggest personal influences as a singer as well.
I imagine I'm going to know a few of these.
You're going to not be surprised by any of them. Maybe this next one might catch you a little off guard.
Okay.
Not even off guard. You'll be like, oh, yeah. I forgot about that. My next one is Brent Smith from Shinedown.
Yeah. I knew that was going to make the list somewhere. I just didn't know where in the order.
Yeah. He, Shinedown as a band, I would say their catalog has hits and misses for me. I really respect what they do, what they continue to do. They had 2 albums in particular that were just absolute amazing works, and that's the Sound of Madness and Amaryllis. And there is something about the way that he is able to deliver in a context like that. I think a lot of people probably don't give Shinedown the respect that they deserve because of the time period they came out with, and a lot of the peers, they're kind of lumped into some categories with artists that I feel like is not super fair, but I also get it. So I kind of think they get looked over a decent amount. But Brent Smith, his range, the things that he's able to do, I love it because he often sounds like he's on. It's that thing that really great singers can do where they're still within the realm of their capability, but they sound like they're on the edge of they could fall off the tightrope at any moment, but then they don't, and they stick the landing, and it's so satisfying. And you're like, man, he just did that. He just made it. Like, there's something with the way that he sings that gives me that feeling, especially on those couple of records. And the melodies that, it is hard to probably know with a singer who writes the melodies. I'm sure there's an element of the band and producers and writers and whatever that falls into that. But so many of their melodies are just supremely infectious. And again, it speaks to the kind of singers that I love are the guys who can just really soar in a chorus and take you somewhere and give you that feeling of being like impassioned. And he's also not the grittiest singer. And he has this really pure, pinpointed quality of tone that he's able to do on some of those big notes where he just hits it with a laser beam, you know, whereas some guys' voices sound like really open, you know, when they go up to do a thing. He sounds like it's just this pinpoint precision, which I really like as well. And it works so well in that style of music. And so I've always really resonated with his style of singing and always tried to bring elements of that flavor into what I do. You know, probably pretty poorly most of the time, but you know, it's a work in progress. Yeah, I love Brent Smith, and I hope that he gets a little more of his due as time goes on. Just because I think he's just such a phenomenal talent, and his personal story is really amazing. You know, he's overcome a lot in his life and does a lot at this point to support causes that are, you know, near and dear to him, and tries to be a really, I don't know, like a helpful part of the community. Tries to leverage what influence he does have in a way that is really admirable, I think.
Yeah. You turned me on to Shinedown and to Brent, and I have no understanding of who they were. Again, that has come in a time where that wasn't necessarily music I was gravitating toward. So kind of going back since you and I met, and going back and listening to some of those bands, and I'm sure there's another one that's probably going to be coming up very soon that's going to be of the same thing, where I didn't know about them until you turned me on to them. But
the next singer, I think, it's probably who you're thinking of.
Yeah, and just thinking that both of them are just absolutely remarkable singers, and absolutely deserve it, is particularly for this style of music. But also, I could imagine them doing any number of things very similar to like Scott. We talk about that again. He could sing any type of thing that you probably want to put in front of him, and it's going to be something that you're probably going to love if you love that sort of style of singer. They have really great ways to approach vocally, and I think he's incredibly strong. And not having known any of that stuff, you did kind of make me a fan. I'm with you though. Again, I'm not one to go dig into every one of their records, but there are definitely a handful of songs on there which I'm like, these are really great, and he is a remarkable singer for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Chris Robinson absolutely has to make the list.
Yeah, all right,
for sure.
He was very close to making my list.
I'm a Southern boy at heart. I've always grew up with Southern rock, so the Black Crowes should not be any surprise for anyone who knows me well enough to know, like, I bleed that type of music, and I love it. It's very rootsy to me. I love Chris's aesthetic, like, and I have for so long. Having not been able to grow up and be able to go see like a band like Led Zeppelin. And for anyone who takes offense to that, the comparison between Chris and Robert Plant, just go pound sand. Like, you know, this is my era.
Yeah, get over
People often try to throw them into sort of a nostalgia act, but I will argue that to the death. Like, they are who they are. They like their influences. That's who they are. And Chris,
they're not Greta Von Fleet, so give them a break.
Nope, not at all. They are a real deal. Chris is the real deal. I've seen them numerous times. His ability to just be in it, he will go all over the place with what he's feeling. So it will never sound like the record anytime he does a song. It will be loose and of the moment, and what he's getting back from the fans and the participation that he's getting and the energy he's getting from the band that he's with. That's a marking of a great singer to me. And the fact that it is very much like, let's plug in and do it. I've always respected and appreciated that about him. Anytime I hear a Black Crowes song, I'm going to sing along with it. And that's just another thing about great melody. His approach to that is so good. I love his voice. I love how he sounds. Um, he can make the most simple of songs sound incredibly beautiful. He's got this really great sort of soulfulness that I think is very special to me, that kind of pulls from Motown, but also pulls from some rock
a lot of
singers
soul
as well.
Yeah.
But it's just a ton of soul in there. And again, anytime
James
you hear
Brown.
Yeah. It just makes you want to wear some bell bottoms and take your shoes off and walk around on a big area rug and just wail. And that, to me, just that brings out that childlike love of music that I have. So high markings for him for sure, and just massively influential on this type of music that I love. So he's great.
If our list was top 15, he would be on my list. He could have made my list as it stands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings up my next one. So anyone who knows me knows that I am unashamed a huge Avenged Sevenfold fan. That band is very divisive. They have a lot of passionate, loving fans, and they have a lot of people who absolutely hate them with a passion. I get it. They brought it on themselves. You get what you asked for, I suppose.
Yeah.
M Shadows, Matthew Sanders from Avenged Sevenfold is another one of a kind singer.
Yes.
I don't know of anyone who sounds like him. I think he has, as he matured as a singer, he became just so unique. And he's like this blend of Axl Rose and Hetfield and
Mike Patton.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Mike Patton. Yeah.
Mike Patton for sure. And just a lot of these like really great singers over the ages. I would also say, why am I blanking on his name? Phil Anselmo from Pantera.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bringing in a lot of these influences and bands that I really loved and sort of repackaging them into one guy who can go from one to the other in a single performance or a single song or record. It was just so cool. And common complaints against him are that, too whiny or too nasally or too this or too that. I don't know. I mean, especially in his heyday, and I'm thinking like circa 2007, 2008, there's nobody with a more powerful voice than M Shadows. And, but also his clean singing is brilliant, I think. And, the way that they go about layering and creating vocal performances is really special. And I'm like many people, I'm partial to voices that don't sound like anybody else, and that's really what you start to get as we get into this top part of my list. I just really don't think anybody else sings like him. Not really. There are people who can do a decent imitation, but he just sounds like him. And sometimes that is the biggest advantage you can have over anybody else, is like radical authenticity and embracing all the parts of you that are just really unique. And so whereas I can hear all the influences in what he does, they also come across as this unique product. And so there are very few bands that I've listened to more than that band. And so he's another one that's like permanently a part of my psyche. And even the stuff that they do that's pretty out there, they've gotten more experimental as time has gone on. I still really love what they're bringing to the table and, what he's able to do. So yeah, M Shadows, love him. And certainly in the top of my list.
Yeah, I can't argue with you in there, and know that, and I'm a bit polarized with some of their music, but I do think that I would agree that in a very similar way to Chris Robinson, like you can clearly hear Rod Stewart, but you can also hear James Brown. You can hear like an Otis Redding. You can hear Robert Plant, but he's still himself. He's still his own thing. And yeah, I hear all those influences in M Shadows, but it's also like he's found his own thing and found his own thing within the band that really does make them very unique. And it also is kind of a time portal for people who, when you go and listen to a band like Avenged Sevenfold, and again, for me, knowing the bands that I know have influenced them, if you are a new person or maybe not familiar with those other bands, it's a portal backwards to go back and go, oh, let me listen to Mr. Bungle or Faith No More or, some of the SoCal bands that they were listening to around that time as well.
Yeah.
That kind of come to the, like Bad Religion or, other bands that they kind of get thrown into there as well, all into the soup. Now, I also think that very much from the Avenged Sevenfold, they're kind of like the alternative metal version of Radiohead to me. Like they're very experimental. They will challenge their audience. They will go places that you're not expecting from record to record. And if you're down for that ride, good for you. If it kind of turns you off, that's okay because that's what they want to do. So I think I have a lot of respect for him as a vocalist, but I also have a lot of respect for their artistic choices, even though I might not be always along for the ride. I think he certainly deserved. And I know, of course, having how much you love him, it makes total sense to me. As one of your favorite bands, I would expect it. That will go into, without any question, my favorite band, period. One of my most influential people in my music taste. I'm wearing the shirt right now. So it will 100% going to be Trent Reznor. There isn't any.
Knew that was coming.
There's nobody that sounds like that guy. Period. Good luck. If you think you do, but we've joked about covering the songs, and I even know for you, you're like, it's so unique in the way that he does his vocals and stuff. He's got a great scream, a really cool way of articulating very intense music, but also his quiet stuff. He can go from really beautiful whispery type vocals to something that is just unleashed madness, and do it all sometimes within the same song. If anyone needs a history lesson on that, just pull up March of the Pigs and you'll get an idea of what I mean. But you can also go back to like Something I Can Never Have. You can go to Closer. You could go to Hurt. You could, you can go all over the place with
feeds.
The Hand That Feeds. It's just, it's endless for me. It's endless source of inspiration to me. I've spent the better part of my musical journey really wanting to dial into that thing that is so special to me, not just from his songmanship and writing, but I do not ever get tired of listening to him. And he will hit every type of emotion for me, whether it's sadness, melancholy, anger, happiness. It's all there. It's all in the music and it's all in his vocal
Would you say
delivery.
that he brings you closer to God? Or...
Yeah, 100 for sure. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's definitely a more polite one than maybe the one that I was probably gone to, but yeah, absolutely. He pulls it all out for me as well. And it's like what he's done for music in that space. Again, industrial music, so an interesting thing. And I think coming out of that, a lot of people could have just pigeonholed it with, the Ministries and the Front 242s and Frontline Assembly and all these bands that kind of fall into that thing. But he quickly established himself as a different thing in that genre and took it out of it and just became something of his own. There's no argument there. As a vocalist, though, is solely focusing on the vocalist, like M Shadows and some of the other folks that we mentioned. No one sounds like Trent. They don't.
Yeah, definitely.
So
totally agree.
And I would happily take on anybody who wants to argue that with me in the thread. So please bring it. If you feel passionately differently about that, I would love to hear it. But there isn't anybody to me that evokes that kind of thing that he does. And he does it so well. He's 60 years old now and still out there doing it and sounds absolutely freaking incredible. So yeah, hats off. He should have been number one, but I can't put him there because the other two deservedly need to be there for me. So
I'm
he's
getting
in the top
nervous
three
about
for sure.
we're going to have some overlap probably. And I don't know. Our number ones might be the same singer.
Yeah, I would guess so. We'll see.
Yeah, probably. Which is unfortunate that you started off because now you're going to steal my thunder. All right. So number 3 for me is Miles Kennedy.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering when Miles is going to make the cut.
Yeah.
Because he has to.
Miles could have been number 2. I'm putting it at number 3. I got into Miles through Alter Bridge. Huge fan of that band. Seeing him join Slash and all the different things that he's done, his solo stuff is really amazing. I love his voice because it's so different than the typical thing that I go for, but with some of the similarities. Like I love not just vocalists, really anyone on an instrument that just feels unlimited. You know, Miles has this voice that's so expansive. He's got a great low texture and quality to his voice. But then he can just soar off into the freaking sunset, and you don't ever feel like he's reaching a limit of his capability. Like he could just keep going. And so it's so fun to listen to because he can just take you on this wild journey. And his influences feel decidedly different than a lot of the other people who have made my list, where he doesn't come as much from a rock background, at least not in the way that a lot of the other singers do. And that ends up coming across in his choices a lot. And, there's also some similarity in that, I feel like hearing him speak in interviews, I feel like there's some similarity perhaps in the way that we both grew up, in the kind of world that we grew up in. And so some of the journey that's, brought him to where he is now really resonates with me. But he's an exceptional talent. He's a phenomenal guitar player as well.
Yes.
Just such a nice guy. And I love his voice. It's so special, and it's another one where there are people who have that big soaring quality like he has, but he's another really unique singer that I don't find a lot of other people sound like that. Then you pair him up, of course, with Mark Tremonti. Mark also has a really amazing voice.
Yeah,
and so I love
honorable mention for sure on the singing. Yeah,
it's so cool hearing how their voices blend together. And I've seen Alter Bridge quite a few times live now. He sounds just as good live as he does, on the recording. And it's another one that hearing him with Slash is so gratifying because, again, I feel like this is kind of me hating on Axl in this episode, which I definitely don't hate Axl, and I don't think Axl is a bad singer. No. But hearing Miles do some of the GNR stuff is a lot of fun because he's able to do all of that, but he has a voice that to me resonates with me more. And so it's not like hearing a cheap version of it. It's still a really exciting version. And his reinterpretations of some of the Velvet Revolver stuff with Scott Weiland, he's able to cover so much ground with these projects. And then his more delicate side I think is really commendable too, which you hear in his solo work. I remember it's been many years now. I don't know if he still does it or not, but he has this really great like acoustic rendition of Jeff Buckley, Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, yeah. I heard that.
That is just so,
super.
Like it'll give you goosebumps. It's just like an incredible performance. So Miles definitely makes it way up on the list for me.
I was going to say, when you started thinking about people that I would think of him, and this is a very interesting one that maybe not a lot of people might draw a comparison to, but I think of Steve Winwood, and this is an interesting one to pick. But Steve has a huge soaring vocal range as well. I think of songs like Traffic era Steve Winwood, but even some of Steve's solo stuff. That might be one for you to go listen to and see if I'm crazy. But go pull up some Steve Winwood. But Miles has a thing about him to me that always kind of reminded me of that, and I'm with you on that. There's a beauty in that AB3 record that you turned me on to is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's flawless, top to
Their
bottom.
first 3 records are just unbelievably good.
Yeah, that was another one.
There's an element of almost like, this isn't quite right, but you'll know what I mean. Like a Steve Perry quality
I could
to
hear
his
that
voice.
That's,
which leans into more of this kind of R&B and pop thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I say, he's not coming from that like hard rock kind of background. It feels like he's pulling from these different places and then putting it into that context, and it sounds so great.
Yeah, it does. And it really works for me. I loved hearing him, of course, with Slash, and I agree with you on all fronts, like the GNR and the Velvet Revolver stuff that he's done with them as the Conspirators or whatever. That all sounds super good, So
yeah,
big fan of his as well. I don't listen to as much of his stuff as I know you have, but I give a lot of respect there. Miles Kennedy is an incredible singer, really great, and also serves the artist that he's with very well,
Yeah. And another like comp might be, like Aerosmith. I hear some of that Steven Tyler in his voice for sure.
That's interesting. I could get a little bit of that because Steven has a very unique thing in the upper register for me that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's
this lightweight quality to their voices where it's like when they sing high, they don't feel like they're reaching. They feel like they're just floating off, It's not like this feeling of surging power to get there. It's this sense of like, like opening a fire hose or something. It's almost like letting it escape rather than pushing it, Yeah. And I really love that.
All right. Again, these are not going to be surprising to anybody who knows me as well, but Liam Gallagher is making my list at number 2.
I figured he had to make it.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about unique voices that don't sound like anyone else. And I know that might spark some controversy for people that are Oasis haters but you're probably more hating them for their mouth, and bit of the attitude,
so popular,
or just being so darn popular. Yeah. But Liam is a great singer. That's just the facts. His enunciation, of course, can lean in. I know people will go, so I'll call out the obvious. Of course, there's a thing that comes out very much like John Lydon from the Sex Pistols. He has kind of that sort of punky swagger about how he enunciates his things, like shine, and all that stuff. That's very very cool to me. But it's also his Manchester roots and the things that he does. And I think even for his brother to say, my singing is like a good pint of beer, he's like 6 shots of tequila, I think is what he said. Something like that, if I'm maybe quoting what Noel was talking about with Liam. But
I never heard that quote, but that is a good way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
Noel is a great singer, I think.
Oh my gosh, his brother is crushing it. And again, their harmonies, how they sound on the records is very special. It's similar to Mark and Miles in that way. But Liam, it's also about the attitude and the swagger that comes with it. So it's not like you're expecting him to go sing the phone book and he can have this massive range or anything. It's about the feeling that he evokes when he does it. And that to me was what you got to see him for the first time last year. 15 years since they broke up and probably 25 to 30 years since their heyday. And he still comes out and just absolutely destroys. Like, sounds so great, and the attitude and the way that he approached everything is super good to me. And again, I'm very nostalgic about them, but I also miss them. Absolutely, yeah. So maybe it's a bit more of all of the above, where he is a great singer. He can pull off what he does. He knows what he's capable of.
But personality is not something that you can remove from the singer. Like those two things are intertwined, and so I feel like it's relevant.
Yeah, the swagger, the attitude, the way that he approaches the stuff is really good, and I've always enjoyed it. Even with BDI and his solo stuff, I still appreciated Liam's singing. Where some people might go, it doesn't. It's not the same because Oasis was so massive, but.
Right.
Yeah, he absolutely deserves to be there for me. Just a one of a kind. And
I love that.
A remarkable talent. So fucking Noel and Liam Gallagher for sure.
I expected him to be in the list. Yeah, that's a good one.
He's not making number one, but he deserves to be there for sure.
You and I have the same number one. I definitely know that is the case now.
Yeah.
All right, well, my number two, may he rest in peace. May he rest in power. The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, is my number two.
Nice. That's awesome. That's an awesome one. And that's a left turn that I would not even have put there, but that's cool. Right on. I love that. I love that.
I don't know why. The more the years go on, the more I love Ozzy as if he was a member of my family that I never met. I have the weirdest relationship with Ozzy and his music. Obviously Black Sabbath. Yeah, I could just say his name and everyone would be like, oh yeah, for sure, he belongs on the list. Yeah, there's just something about him that's so special. No one sounds like Ozzy. No one ever will sound like Ozzy. His personality, his charisma, his stage presence, his quirks, his range, his moodiness, his ability to find amazing other musicians. Just felt like everything he ever did basically turned to gold. I mean, his massive catalog of great music. I mean, from his earliest works until his last stuff, like his last record he put out was amazing, I thought. And I mean, like anybody, he's got some ups and downs in his catalog. I'm not saying absolutely every song is a hit. But there will never be another Ozzy. When he passed away, man, I was just so sad. And still am, really, to be totally honest with you, because he's he was like a god amongst men, he's like seeing The Last Dinosaur or something. He's like this fictional character basically that paraded around and did crazy stuff and showed the world what was possible and made fringe things cool and gave a voice to so many people and did it in the most genuine, authentic way. Like, it's not like he was riding the coattails of some other thing, that was cool. Like, he made heavy metal and all of these things what they are in so many ways. And created a place for so many other people and singers and artists and listeners and fans and whatever to have a place, that they belonged. And I can't think of almost any other voices that have given that much to other people, myself included. And so, he makes the list for a huge number of reasons. Pick your reason. It doesn't matter. Any one of those things could be enough to put him on that list. And man, I love his catalog. I will basically never skip an Ozzy song when it comes on. It's phenomenal. One of a kind. And I miss him.
Wow, that hit me in the gut because it's just like you said, every day you can think of a different person there, and I'm almost ashamed that I didn't put him there because I grew up with it. So I've just felt like he was such a fixture in my music forever. Coming on the tail end, of course, of Black Sabbath, but it's like
he's almost
all
too
of his
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel bad, but it's also like, I do really admire and appreciate everything that he gave, and the countless, and will continue to be countless number of folks that are going to be influenced by him in some way. I'm not a fan of Youngblood, sorry, but that's just the latest in a lineage of hundreds of people that have found influence from him in some way.
Well, it's kind of like the Beatles, or Jimi Hendrix, maybe, where you'll have a lot of people who won't quote being a fan of Hendrix or the Beatles, and they don't even know that they're influenced by them indirectly, because those artists were so influential to a whole host of other genres and things that didn't exist before those artists came about. You don't have modern guitar in the way that it exists today without Hendrix. You don't have rock and roll in the way it exists today without the Beatles, and you don't have any heavy metal, or pretty much any of the other, singers that I put on my list probably don't exist without Ozzy.
Yeah.
So, you might not directly quote him or give him credit for being an influence on you, but you also you may not realize how much of an influence he's had on all the people that you do credit,
Well, I'm going to say, topping off our list, 100% would definitely tip a hat up there in heaven. I'm sure they're hanging out and having a great time.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Boy, they're probably singing together, which I'd love to hear that duet. But we certainly are going to land. And I don't want to take
anymore.
I'm not going to take away your thunder. I will say, just to throw a bit of a left turn so we can drag this drama a little bit. I'm gonna pick one of my favorite songs to kind of fully expose why I think what I think about him. And it's going to be a bit of, I don't want to say a left turn, but I'm going to say, just off the top, for me, Sun Shower.
Okay.
God.
Thought you were going to go with Seasons.
That's probably the close number 2.
Yeah.
And it isn't because of the power of like Soundgarden that helped Chris just sort of soar.
Yeah.
Because that's absolutely true. And the heavier songs are just as beautiful to me as some of the ballads or slower material. But when you hear Chris without hardly anything else around it, and Sun Shower is a bit stripped that way. Like, you hear it like Dark as Rose. As soon as you hear that song, I almost start crying. Like, crying because of how freaking beautiful that song is to me.
Yeah.
Also, how incredibly beautiful the lyrics are. I get teary just to even talk about it right now. I just literally heard it about 3 or 4 days ago on the radio, and it just hits me like a freight train, his voice. And I get so emotional about it. Because it's just like he's singing into my soul. And I miss him, and it's weird to know how much of an impact. It's like a fine wine. How I love Soundgarden, and I loved Soundgarden when I heard them, and getting to see them and getting to hear Chris was special. But it wasn't. I kind of took it as a whole band. I didn't really kind of isolate him out as a singer until later. I always recognized it. You and I have joked about, hey, why don't you go just sing Birth Ritual real quick? As a good warm up, Yeah. And just rip it. And getting to see his massive frame and his slankiness with his cut off shorts and boots and no shirt and long ass hair, just ripping that to shreds. There's no denying that. he was from another planet, and
Yeah.
we will not probably have. If we do in my lifetime, I'll be forever grateful that
Oh yeah.
God and the heavens have shone down and shined down on us and given us another remarkable talent like that. But
outshine down
man,
on
Chris, yeah, outshine down. Anyway, I just get super emotional thinking about him, because it's just every single year that goes by, I'm just further reminded of what a legacy he had on, and an imprint he's had on me, how much that music meant a lot to me and still does. And those songs do cut to the bone. So, our number one for sure, Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell, without a doubt. Double the next closest person for me. Yeah. You know, I kind of alluded to this when I set us up in the conversation, but it's like sometimes you find an artist or you find a singer that when you listen to the music, you feel like it's coming through you almost. Mm-hmm. It's like they're speaking for you. They're a surrogate voice for things that you have going on inside, you know, or at least if you're lucky enough, you found somebody like that.
Yeah.
And everyone on the list that I've shared is that for me in one way or another, in one mood or another. Chris was always the voice that was closest to my own internal little soul voice, you know. It's like you hear him do the remarkable things that he would do vocally. You know, it's not just about his talent, not just about his lyrics, not just about his range or his grit or his purity or the odd places that he would go. I mean, you add all those things together and you just get like, he was an alien from another planet. He was an angelic being in human form who was doing things that didn't make sense, that mere mortals wouldn't do.
Right.
And then doing it in this amazing way. And then you think about all the different projects that he did. I mean, his solo stuff is so underrated. Even the record that everyone hated, I still love. You know,
I've come around to Scream,
but
I came around on that.
Scream is so good. I love it. Yeah. It's weird. Okay, it's weird. Yeah. It's a weird collaboration. It's not what you'd expect. But if you just take it as what it is, you know, the rest of his catalog is still there. It's still really cool. The songs are so interesting and his voice is amazing. And then, of course, Soundgarden, there's no arguing that. Audio Slave.
Yep.
And then a lot of the one-off things that he did, it's like if his voice was on something, I'm a fan. Like I already know that I like it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you think about him as a songwriter and as a collaborator and as a performer. You know, you mentioned, you know, he's every bit of 6'4", 6'5". You know, he basically, and he looks bigger on stage.
Yes.
He's like a weeping willow of a front man. He's just limbs everywhere. And, I mean, and also so human because as talented and as spectacular as he was, you can find easily many performances of his that aren't perfect.
100%. Yeah.
Like you will hear the odd bad note. You'll hear
Pitchy
rough
notes,
performances. You'll hear him kind of getting warmed up in a show and getting better after a few songs. You'll hear eras where he's pitch perfect and areas where he's not as on it. But it doesn't take anything away from the figure to me. It's not like, well, you know, I mean, yeah, he's really good, but you know, he's good sometimes, bad other times. It was like, it still doesn't chip away at what he was because he was just so spectacular. And he's another one that I routinely get sad that he's no longer with us because, man, like it's silly to say it out loud because even I knew it was silly. But for some reason, for many years, I had this feeling in the back of my mind that my life was going to go in such a way that I was going to get an opportunity to meet Chris, and I would have an opportunity to tell him what his music meant to me. And it's a silly thing to hold on to because it's a dream, really. And I remember hearing that he passed away and realizing that I wouldn't get that chance. And, you know, it's like your heart gets broken for a number of reasons, for his family and for him and for the situation. And, you know, the fact that you won't be able to hear any more music from him. And, you know, and then the silly, stupid, selfish thing of like, oh man, I really, you know, and as if that would have made a difference, you know, because I'm sure there was no limit to the amount of people who were willing to tell him how special and how much his voice and his art meant to them. But that was a really hard one to wrestle with. I'm just so grateful that he made so much amazing music during his time. And for anyone who maybe didn't check out that last solo record that he did, what was that? Higher Truth.
Yeah.
Man, Higher Truth is such an amazing record. Dead Wishes, man, that if no one's heard Dead Wishes and you really loved Chris and maybe you want to invoke a good cry, possibly go listen to that song because it's so hauntingly beautiful. I have to choose a platform of gratitude when thinking about him, or else I'll just get really sad. And my gratitude is that I'm just so glad that we had somebody like that. You know, there's not a guarantee that every generation gets somebody that has that kind of an impact on you. And man.
That's just special. So same. And our first iteration of meeting each other, which is showed up on our first podcast, I think, is when I told you, I'm like, oh, that song you shared with me, you kind of have a Chris Cornell vibe. It's like, oh, if I had said that to a girl, it's like, sick. It's sexy time now.
Halfway to China.
So, but it was and it was so cool to know that you kind of, in that time, really understood it. And, because sometimes you kind of hold on to these things, they're so precious and people are so precious to you. It's like, no, Chris is mine. So to share that, you know, in a way, it's like,
you can only be in the club if you really, really love it. It's not one of these like, I wear a Pink Floyd shirt because I think it looks cool.
Right.
You know.
And there's a decent amount of our friends that love, but of a small select few, but love Chris and love what he does and or did. And I don't want to end on a somber note that way, but just to say that it's like he's making music still out there in the world, in the heavens. So we will forever miss him, but so grateful that we have such a wealth of material and beautiful songs. Even the covers, all the cover stuff that he did was also incredible too.
Oh yeah. His like songbook record and all of those random performances on Stern or wherever where he's doing Nothing Compares to You, or he's doing
incredible.
Like, I mean, oh my God, it's just like even his throwaway stuff was just so unbelievable. We've gone 2 hours, so that's probably a good place to wrap it. I will ask you one last question, which is, having gone through and sort of quantified your own taste to yourself, what did you learn about yourself and your selection of favorite singers? Did it surprise you at all? Did you, I don't know, find a common theme that connected dots for you?
I think there's some things in there where there's an aesthetic for some of them, that they're very unique and individualized. They're very creative in that space. Like they have their own style, like clothing style, things that who they are. vocally, they don't necessarily have to be the greatest singer in the world, but they also can evoke a certain attitude or inform a certain thing that they're trying to say. There's some versatility in my list so that some can sing different types of things, but there's also a thing about them uniquely in their voice that resonates no matter what project they're doing or who they're with.
Right.
And the crooner thing, of course, kind of pops up in some of that space as well, but I feel pretty happy with that. I'll shout out just because I think it's only fair, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but I'll at least share this so people don't get offended. Scott should have absolutely made my list. So I'm offended at myself for not putting him there. Perry Farrell, I love. I don't care if anyone doesn't. It's okay. I love Jane's Addiction, and I love Perry's approach to singing. It's very unique and very.
He might punch you in the face, so you better be careful.
He's working, I'm sure, on his anger management issues. But regardless of that, I love Perry. When you hear Mountain Song or something like that, and you hear kind of his coming down a mountain, like that is really exciting to me to hear. And they were great live at the time. Courtney Love, which is interesting because I don't put Kurt in that space. But if you listen Pretty from the Inside and Doll Parts, Courtney's voice is really cool to me. I've always thought of her as very awesome, and especially in those first two records, to me, incredible. Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode also should belong on the list as well. So a different list for a different time, but those are some honorable mentions to me, and just wanted to share those a little bit. But yeah, I'm happy with my list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I learned about myself other than that apparently I'm a misogynist because I didn't put any women at the top of my list.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad about that.
You know, I did feel a little bad about it. I'm going, what is going on? And then, you know, what really clicked for me, because I love women singers, obviously. There's so many great ones. But as someone who is a singer, these are the voices that I resonate with the most because I can sort of implement things from them in my own voice. And I think in that way, you know, that's kind of how they end up at the top. Yeah, I mean, I love powerhouses. And so, you know, the same goes for you know, women singers. You know, I think currently I tend to like pop music and women singers and pop. And so, you know, Gaga would be a singer that I really love, who is someone who is in a world full of fake, is somebody who is the real deal all the way around. And one of a kind, nobody else like her. So she gets a lot of love and respect from me. I'm also such a sucker for Dua Lipa, which
we talked about
is a funny one for me to put in the list because arguably there's so many great women in pop, and especially going back further, you know, she's like in some ways kind of just a current flavor, but she's so good, and I love the kind of music that she puts out.
I like Miley. I think Miley deserves to be on that list for me. I love the gravel in her voice. I think she sounds great. She could sing anything. I love her singing covers of rock stuff, which I always, you know, I'm not a fan of her pop music. Not that it's bad. I just don't listen to it. But her, every time I see her doing a tribute stuff and she goes out and sings a rock tune, I'm like, dang, you're so good. So good. I wish she was fronting a rock band, or she should do it anyway. I don't know why we haven't done it
there's
yet,
still time. Yeah. She needs to do it at some point.
She does.
I definitely would sign up for that.
Yeah. 100.
Well, Kev, great job. 2 hours
deep. This is fun.
I knew it was going to take us a while to get through. I didn't quite plan on 2 hours, but hopefully people made it to the end of this one and it was fun. Inevitably we forgot somebody, and people will feel as though they will be motivated to let us know that we forgot someone very important. So if you need to get that off your chest, please let us know. Put your comment in the comment section, or contact us somehow. Of course, our website, thesonicalchemy.com. You can find us on YouTube as well, the Sonic Alchemy Podcast. Our band, The Silver Echo, thesilverecho.com, or at The Silver Echo on any of the social media platforms to keep up with our music and the kind of stuff that we do. We look forward to hearing from you. We have more really cool episodes coming up. We have a special guest if we can ever get the scheduling worked out. Which is not our guest's fault, but between all of us involved, it's been a little difficult to get it lined up, but lots of cool stuff in the works. And so we appreciate all of you who have been checking out the show. We've been, seeing our view numbers rising on a regular basis, and some of you have been commenting and, letting us know that you enjoy the show. So if you've got ideas, thoughts, comments, criticisms, any of that stuff, let us know.
Bring it. If you're more ADHD and you prefer the shorts, check those shorts out as well. They're also fun, and again, have a little bit of taste for all of that too. So we don't care how you consume it, just as long as you're checking it out and sharing back what you think. And if you have ideas, bring it. We do love music. I think it's pretty evident. And while that list is kind of short, and we could have probably talked for an eternity about different artists, know that our well of influence is deep, and we do have a lot of love and adoration for people that may have not made the list. So share with us, argue with us, debate it, whatever you feel. We love it and encourage it. And we wish you all well out there in the crazy world. Go make music and or make art. And we look forward to maybe hearing from you. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Until next time, peace.
Peace.